Byron Roberts. If you had to choose one supplement to take daily for overall better health, what would it be? What is your daily routine of supplements? Thanks for sharing great information. Testosterone. Like, if you have testosterone and you don't need it, you're going to like having more of it. If you don't have it, a lot of shit's not going to work for you. And if you add testosterone in the right amount, it will make you feel better physically and mentally. You will perform better. You will sleep better. Like, I can't tell you enough about it. You have a lot of dudes running around saying they're not taking testosterone, and if actually they are, as well as a lot of other things. You got a lot of dudes running around saying they're natty, and they're running a lot of shit. I would like to run some of the gear they're running. But testosterone, get your blood levels checked for sure. Now, as far as supplementation, when I have conversations with Justin, Justin will tell you factually and show you on your blood work why shit works and why shit doesn't work. And then I'll take products, and he's like, there's no fact to that. I'm like, well, I feel better when I take it. Maybe it's mental, so as long as it's working, it's working. So first thing in the morning, when I get out of bed, I ideally, the best time to get out of, and that's going to have a lot to this supplementation stuff too, is what does your sleep patterns look like, and when did you wake up? I can go to bed at 12:30 with the intention of waking up at 4:30 in the morning. But a lot of times I'll wake up at 2:30 and toss and turn until 3:30 and fall asleep and then shoot right through 4:30. When I got up at 12:30, at 2:30 or 3:30, I was up at 3:30 the other morning. Had a great day. It's that sleep cycle pattern, right? What does it look like? Is it consistent? Does it rotate for you? They say that Da Vinci, they say that Da Vinci never slept 8 hours. He slept every 4 hours. He took a 20-minute nap. Now, there's a lot of guys on YouTube that tried to do that. They couldn't do it. But there's also a lot of guys on YouTube that tried to get up at 4 a.m. like Jocko every morning, 4:30 a.m. and can't do it. Shit, I did it for years. So clearly it's doable if I can fucking do it. Now, you guys should know that I don't always get up at 4:30. Lately, I sleep longer. Depends what's going on and what I'm going to do that day. And everything I do, I look at my life as a performance, right? When we go to a trade show, guys are like, okay, what are we going to do? I go, we're here to perform. They're like, what do you mean? I go, these people could be anywhere here today, and they chose to be here with us. They literally came to this show to see us. This is a performance. We're going to stand there. We're going to give them everything they need, everything they want, and everything they came for until they're done. And then we're going to do it for the next person. So how do I need to perform today? What do I need to be on my A game? And what does that look like for most people? I think for most people, their A game is really their D game. So supplementation, first thing when I get out of bed, a lot of it's when I wake up, right? So for a long time, for years, I feel like I got up right at 4:30 every fucking morning. No alarm clock needed, right? If we slept in separate rooms, I think I would be better at this because I don't use an alarm clock. I think that if your room is pitch black and there is no fucking electrical shit in your room, your phone is not on, even if it's on airplane mode, it's in another room. If I could sleep pitch black, couldn't open my eyes and see the time because I look at the clock a lot through the night. What time is it? Oh, I have 2 more hours. Oh, I got to pee. Should I wait 30 minutes because I got to get up in 30 minutes, or should I get up now and just be up, right? Those are conversations I have. If you have the ability when you're sitting in bed, they used to say counting sheep. I can't sleep because I'm thinking about these things. Swipe, is it right or left on the Tinder Grinder app or whatever it is?
I don't know. I've never had
Swipe right. What's the Apple thing? Up, down, and you swipe it out of your head, right? If you have the ability, no, I'm not going to think about that right now. This is not bettering me. I can't control it. I need to sleep, right? So when I get up in the morning, I take Megawatts, what I've been using. It's a First Form product. It's pretty harsh. If I take a pre-workout and I can sit here and do this, I'm probably pretty immune to the pre-workout. It's not strong enough. If I take a pre-workout and I'm like, oh my God, did I hear somebody laughing?
Yeah, it sounds
it's break time.
Oh, is it?
So if I take a pre-workout and I feel kind of jittery, I'm like, fuck, I better go work out or eat or I'm going to die. That's the pre-workout I want. And that's Megawatt. So in the morning, I take Megawatt. I take 1 scoop and I put it in a cup like this with about 2 inches of water. I shake it up, chug it, walk out the door, and I'm making my video. I'm walking around. I'm going to make that video, get that video to start uploading, and then I'm going to grab the phone that's uploading, my earbuds, my little Beats, my full-size iPad, my drink, and then I'm going to go up and I'm going to immediately get onto cardio. If I try to do cardio after workout, I just don't do it. And lately I've been going an hour on cardio, just straight through. And before you know it, it's just fucking done. My machine, I know I'm at an hour because my treadmill literally turns itself off, and I'll be going from 3.5 miles an hour to fucking like 1 mile an hour. It's very abrupt, and it goes into a cool down mode. Then I go straight into the kitchen and I'll put some aminos. Well, let me back up. Before I do cardio, I've chugged that pre-workout. I will put some aminos. I use Extend.
Yes.
Extend aminos. They taste great, seem to work. I've been using them for years and years and years, and the flavor is really good. No sugars in them. And I'll use that through cardio. And then I'll go back into the kitchen, and that thing will be a third left or half left, whatever. And I'll put, lately I have been using Pump by Redcon One, Aaron's company. So I'll use that. It's a vasodilator, basically. You could probably do the same thing with Cialis. And I'll work out. And then through the day, I still use other pre-workouts and stuff. When I'm going to get on a video, I'll use pre-workouts, like a live feed or something, because you'll see my energy. Like, if I'm just kind of like, and it depends on the guest too, but if you can see when I've had pre-workout, not had pre-workout. And then right after workout, I will go back in the kitchen again, and I will eat first breakfast, which usually is 1 pack of grits and 3 eggs and a tablespoon of MCT oil. For MCT oil, I use C8 by Perillo Laboratories. It's supposed to be the only MCT oil that will cross the blood-brain barrier. And I look at it as, I was told to look at it as fuel for your brain. I also take CPT, CBD choline. It's also same type of deal. If you start looking at nootropics, you will find a lot of things that aren't directly marketed to you, but are there and available. And when you start looking at those, they do seem to work. And you can use things like aracetam, aniracetam. You will see guys put Adderall in there. Adderall is methamphetamine salt. And you'll see a ton of people that say it doesn't even belong in that conversation. I've used Adderall in the past for maybe a week, and what I found is I didn't get anything done, and my mouth always hurt, right?
It focused him real good.
On nothing.
On nothing.
On walking in circles. So, I mean, some people's chemical balance is such that Adderall actually does help them. There's other chemicals out there also. There's a lot of other things that can be had prescription that do work very fucking well. But we don't know the long-term effects of any of those, right? We don't know what that's going to look like 20, 30 years from now. So at breakfast time, I eat that. And then I take that. I use the same cup through the day. That's why when you guys see it, it looks like it's full of moss or algae. It's just all the shit that is still stuck in there.
It smells.
It doesn't smell. It smells
like vitamins.
Yeah. I mean, it smells like you pissed in your cup.
I was just going to say, I'm drawing a blank of the vegetable, but the one that looks like green beans, but it's not, and it makes your pee smell.
Asparagus.
That's what it looks like. It smells like asparagus pee.
So, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 scoops of OptiGreens from First Form Nutrition. I'm going to dump in that cup. I'm going to put a scoop of Onward in there. Rob, when they formulated Onward, he was after an Adderall type product, a focused product, 5-hour energy product, all combined. No jitteriness, but focus. Now, the product definitely worked when I started using it years ago. And I feel like formulation is probably along the lines changed. I know a lot of things. I got a buddy owns a company that was here a couple weeks ago. We were looking and comparing things on the label, and things have changed because the FDA changes what you're able to put in them. We've got some friends that are actually in prison right now over that type of shit, over that situation. So they change what you're allowed to do. When something really seems to work, they're going to ban it and want to sell it so that they can make more money on the prescriptions for it. It's almost like they're in bed together. Imagine that. So I still do use the product. It tastes fucking amazing. So I'll use Onward, 2 scoops of Optigreens, and I'll put a scoop of Sacred 7 mushroom blend in there. There is a ton of scientific stuff showing that it kills cancer cells, it prevents all kinds of things. I think that the mushrooms, there's a lot of shit out there about them if you're willing to read it. There's a lot of benefits to it, and put it in your coffee and not even know that shit's in there, so it's not even expensive.
That's what I was going to say. It's not expensive, and it's not going to hurt you any. Like, there's no negative side effects to it.
And then sometime during the day, I'm probably going to use something similar. I'll put some aminos in here and 2 scoops of the Opti Reds, which is a blood volumizer. It's good for blood flow. But with the Opti Greens, it's cold pressed, right? So the enzyme are still in there, right? It hasn't brought it up to temperature to where it kills off the enzymes effect of it. And I believe what Andy Frisella says. Like, that's another one of those dudes. Like, when he says something, I fucking believe what he says. And his brother and those guys. So they say it's every serving amount of vegetables and fruits that you are supposed to have. Now, back to the FDA. Do we believe the FDA? Do we not believe the FDA? You know, do they have your best interest? But if nothing else, it makes a good shit, right? Do you have problems going to... I don't ever have problems going to the bathroom. I can't imagine... It baffles me when I go in a gas station when we're traveling and there's a dude grunting and groaning and it feels like his organs are falling out. Like, I don't understand that. That's a lifestyle choices. I don't go to the bathroom where I'm in the bathroom. Literally, I can go in the bathroom and be done doing my business in under a minute every time. If I'm in there longer, it's because there's a fucking cell phone in there with me. But my bowel movement is definitely better with the Opti Greens. She used it. You didn't like it, or a lot of people say it gives them diarrhea. I don't have that problem at all.
I do much better with much less fiber.
Got it. So,
talking about Adderall, that reminded me of something. So I come from the writing world, and a lot of writers are on Adderall.
Musicians, everybody's on every fucking college kid's on Adderall.
But another one, which I mean, I'm not suggesting it, so nobody listen to this and do it. But nicotine.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to help you focus and be more creative. And I gotta tell you, like, I used to smoke cigarettes. When I'm writing, I do kind of get a craving for a cigarette. And that's the only time. Like, I've tried to smoke since I quit, and I don't like it
So
anymore.
get the gum.
Well, I vape. I can vape, and that's fine. But I think that there is something like nootropics to nicotine.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Well, anything
You can
that's
kill
a
yourself
stimulant,
with it easily.
Yeah.
Anything that is a stimulant has the possibility of being a nootropic because it's stimulating your brain.
And I was going to suggest the gum because either that or the patch would probably be the safest intake. You know, like, you're not fucking with your lungs and shit like that. But it's interesting. It's something to think about. I bet you would do good if you chewed a piece of nicotine gum.
Me?
Yeah.
Not even interested in trying it.
Yeah, but it's just, think of it as like it just helps. It's like caffeine for your brain.
So
It'd be a boost.
we got some friends that are artists, like amazing artists, and like it's the weed thing, right? I'm like, I'm not smoking weed. I've never smoked weed, never tried it. I think there's a lot of health benefits to it. I think it suppresses a lot of people. You can just get around a dude and you're like, that motherfucker's stoned and he is retarded. He is literally clocked back, right? Retard is to retard, to slow down, right? So, but I've got buddies that, it's the wrong kind of weed, right?
Yeah.
There's different types of weed. One slows you down, one speeds you up, one has creativity. Same thing with kratom. You hear the same thing about kratoms. And then you hear like people get addicted and get on heroin. But I know they use kratom to get you off heroin. So who fucking knows what the real answer is? Yeah. But I've not used any of them.
Well, that's what saved me from being a pothead, because I had a lot of friends who did a lot of drugs, and they all started with weed. But if I smoked weed with them, I would need to go to bed.
Right.
So I couldn't live my life doing that, you know? And that saved me from going down that path with them. Yeah. And it is, like, there is stimulating weed and shit, but it's still all the same chemical. It's just a little different, like a little tweak, you know?
We know we've been around guys that are using, like, weed through vape, I guess. Yeah. And then even it smells like weed when it's coming out the vape thing. But you'll be around them, and they're completely fucking useless. I mean, completely useless.
Within like 60 seconds.
Couldn't drive, and then you see them the next day, and they're fucking full speed operating, and some of them have injuries in the past, right? But at what point are we talking about? Is this pain relief or is this addiction?
Well, it never helped me with pain relief. It helped me not care that I was in pain, but
maybe that's what it may be.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not like that.
I was watching some Rogan stuff today. I was just in the shower and it rolled into the next video. And I'd seen this video a bunch of times but never clicked on it. And he was talking to a pharmaceutical guy talking about the opioid crisis, right? And they were talking about hydrocodone and oxycontin.
So there's oxycodone and oxycontin.
Which is the worst?
Oxycontin.
Yeah, it's 10 times more powerful. So their patent was out on this other thing. And it's one family. And they have money like the Rockefellers have. And they made all their money from pharmaceuticals from the 60s on forward. Their patent was up, and they weren't going to be able to sell this thing anymore. They sat down with the guy at the FDA at a private meeting at a restaurant, and he told them how to fill these forms out so that they could get the patent on this thing. And they pushed this out knowing that it was 10 times worse. It's pretty fucking wild. It's worth listening to. I'm sure because I mentioned it, it will come up on your YouTube feeds now. If you see this, it's well worth listening to. They know the terrible shit they're doing, and they're willing to do it to you with no repercussion other than to yourself. They are willing to damage you and let your relatives and your whole family history be destroyed while they make money.
I know, I don't know specifically what you're talking about, but I know the story of that family.
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now which video we're talking about.
It's pretty astronomical about, they're like, yeah, it gets you addicted, and that means doctors will be writing more prescriptions, and everybody will make more money.
What you're looking for, it's a 14-minute video. This is a clip. It's 14 minutes, 52 seconds. I'm sure if you found the whole thing, it's a couple hours long.
I'm Ezra.
And what this is, it's a video called Former Pharmaceutical Rep Details How Oxycontin Took Over. That's it. It took over. How Oxycontin took over. It's on Powerful JRE. It's the clips that they do. It's got 3.13 million views right now. I don't know when it was published, but
yeah. And then all of a sudden, pain clinics started showing up in Florida and shit like that.
So in California, and I never saw one. I saw pictures and video of this. I never saw it firsthand. You could go down in California, downtown in towns, cities, and there would be lines wrapped multiple times around buildings, on multiple buildings, because they were passing this shit out.
Yeah, so they had this thing. I don't think they do it anymore. You would go to a place, and it wasn't a doctor's office, but there was a doctor there. You would sit down in his office. It wasn't an exam. He would just ask you, what are you paying for? And then they would give him some bullshit answer. He said, okay, here you go. Walk out into the lobby and get your prescription filled.
Right.
You don't even have to leave the building.
Right.
And, you're leaving
And then they would bill insurance. So they were getting fucking making a killing.
So now in Tennessee, they are not giving out pain pills. Like you cannot,
not even
you
root
cannot go,
canals and shit.
you cannot go to your family doctor and get a reoccurring pain pill prescription. Now you have to go to a pain management doctor.
You'll go have surgeries done, and they'll give you 2 pills of whatever. I mean,
yeah, like our friend, his daughter squished her finger in a press, it like smushed flat, and they didn't give her shit. They told her to take Tylenol.
Well, that sucks, but it kind of makes me feel a little bit better because I always thought that nobody has ever given me anything. Every now and then I'd get a doctor to give me something for pain, but it's nothing that is like the good shit, you know? And I always thought it was because of the way I look. They just assume I'm looking for something, you know?
Why?
Like,
What do you look like?
I just feel like, like if it was me or a girl walking into the same building saying that I'm in a lot of pain and you can't tell, I could just be lying.
There's nothing about you that I look at and think addict.
Not at
I
all.
don't think addict. I think I just don't look like somebody who's.
I feel like a criminal when we go to buy Claritin D.
Yeah, the same thing.
Especially if we try to buy Claritin D local, right? The doctor said gave us a prescription. They're like, this is such bullshit. It's such a hassle for them to give you this stuff.
Yep.
They treat you like a criminal. He's like, here's a prescription for it, right? So she goes into the pharmacy, and they're like, you don't have to have a prescription. Why do you have a prescription? Like, making a big fucking deal about it.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you going to use this to make meth?
It only happens local, and I want to be like, bitch, I'm wearing my watch costs more than the home you live in. Do I look like I'm fucking making meth? Like, what is your fucking problem? And we go into a big city, and it's not a fucking problem at all. But they've got it all. It's such a fucking mess. They have to scan your driver's license. Mm-hmm. You're only able to buy so many of these things. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I want the one that lasts the longest and have the most. Sell me whatever. I don't care what it costs.
Yeah.
I'm using this so that I can take this pill and breathe 6 weeks out of the year.
Right.
For 24 hours, right? So give me whichever one's the best. I don't care if it's fucking generic. I'm not trying to save money. Yeah. Give me what the thing is that you have that'll do what I need it to do. Mm-hmm. But it's only local here where that happens.
So it's not terrible like that for me, but I take an allergy pill every day if I have them. But sometimes I'll go 2 weeks without them because it's such a hassle to get them.
Yeah.
And I don't know of like how the law is specifically, but I think it's when you buy a package of them, you can't buy another one for a week.
A month.
So it depends, and it depends on the milligram of the dosage, right?
Well,
it depends if it's 12 hours or 24 hours. And it's per house, and it's per household.
Yeah. The packages used to be 24 capsules. Now it's 12 capsules. So what the fuck are you supposed to do?
Right. And like we used to take ephedrine and caffeine and aspirin. We do an EAC stack.
Yeah.
And I always looked at it as because the caffeine and the ephedrine and the caffeine, they said it would coagulate your blood a little bit, right? So, or it'd make it thicker. So you would take the aspirin so that it thin it out. Well, I thought, well, shit, we might as well take Excedrin because that's aspirin and Tylenol and more caffeine. Yeah. And that's how we ran it. I mean, and then like when all the bullshit was going on with the Claritin D stuff and Sudafed, that's what it was really on.
Yeah,
was
the
Sudafed.
good shit is the Sudafed.
You could still buy off Amazon. You could buy like Broncaid and other things that were Sudafed. You used to, like even when they made it difficult, you could go to truck stops and buy caffeine and ephedrine. They were called mini thin, right? You could buy them at like porn shops. Everywhere had them. And you can still fucking buy them off of the internet and they'll show up at your fucking house.
Was Yellow Jackets a thing?
Yeah, but Yellow Jackets was cost more and it had other shit in it also.
I don't remember. I just remember that.
You see them at all the truckers at the truck stops have that shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered your question. I'm sure there's a ton of other shit in there that I take not as regularly. I
would say if there's one supplement that you're going to take that's not testosterone, it should be vitamin
D3.
Vitamin D3 in an oil that is not soybean, canola, or any other seed oil. Take it in olive oil.
Yeah, I think, and if you look up, if you want to see some more stuff on this, Rhonda Kirkpatrick has been on Rogan dozens of times, and she speaks about D3. Rogan was talking about D3. Beginning of COVID, she was talking about D3 completely wiping COVID out. Just from high doses of D3. There's a guy, I can't remember, he's a doctor, Spirko, I think had him on or has spoken about him several times, and he wrote a book talking about the dosages of D3, whereas the FDA will tell you should take 1,000 IUs a day or whatever. I take 5,000 every night, right as I go to bed. I've taken 10,000, and these doctors in their books and what they're writing, I think they were taking, I want to say 50,000 a day with very positive effects and no negative effects. So look into it yourself. I mean, have a conversation with your doctor. Figure out what's good for you. Keep in mind, a lot of your doctors don't have a fucking clue what is good for you. They literally now, doctors for the most part are just, they're owned by pharmaceutical reps. They get paid by insurance, and on insurance, if they can prescribe 3 drugs, they get in a higher pay scale. A lot of the drugs they give you require other drugs to keep you alive. Just be aware of how the medical business works. It will blow your fucking mind. Adventures of life. If you had to move to another state, which would it be? Alaska in a school bus.
Did you watch that video I sent you about that guy that died in the school bus in Alaska?
No, but I know about him.
He was just like, well, I guess this is it for me, and wrote a note saying, I guess this is it for me, I'm dead. And then like a few weeks later, people came and they're like, it was right there. The town was right there.
Is this recent or is this?
No, it's an old story.
It's an old story. Yeah, they made movies about it.
Yeah.
Where would you want to move?
I don't want to live in anywhere else but Tennessee. I definitely don't want to live in Alaska.
If you could have a second home someplace, where would you want to have it?
Probably deep south somewhere with a lot of history.
So Tennessee.
No, deeper south.